think it's important for us to understand what the definition of charitable purpose actually means. And under this test, it says charitable purpose is defined under this test that I'm talking about as charity or charitable use consists of gift for the benefit of an indefinite number of persons by bringing their hearts under the influence of education or religion, by relieving their bodies from disease, suffering, or constraint, by assisting them to establish themselves for life, or by erecting or maintain public buildings or works, or otherwise lessening the burdens of the government. And so the fact that the case law says that the fact that a building that we're asking, or an organization that we're asking to be tax exempt, the fact that it's not a specific college or school or university, because that honestly, when I was reading it, that's where I got hung up at. And I'm going, well, you know, the community center under this definition is not a college or a school. But the case law says that the fact that it's not a school or a college or university in a traditional sense, really it doesn't play a role because the definition is broader than that. And so then we look at the case law that says, okay, so we've got this statute, we don't know how to interpret it, so we look at the case law to figure out how to do that, so we look at this three-pronged test. And that's what I'm really here to talk to you about is the three-pronged test, because by reading this statute in and of itself, you would never know that unless you read all the case law. And so for the three-pronged test, let me first outline what the three prongs are. The first prong of the test is the property must be owned and operated on a not-for-profit basis. So prong number one. Prong number two, the property must be actually and regularly used exclusively for a charitable purpose. Once again, I defined for you what charitable meant, okay, under the Salvation Army case. Number three, the property must be used for the benefit of an indefinite number of persons and for society in general, directly or indirectly. And so, if we meet all three prongs of that test, then the case law says that defines the statute that this property can be considered tax exempt. And the appeals to the Missouri State Tax Commission essentially says this is what they do. When you go down there, you just lay out your prongs and you lay out your evidence as to how we have met the burden. Some of the cases that I read, well, first, let me back up. I think the first prong is simple when it says the property must be owned and operated on a not-for-profit basis. Some of the cases in which that failed to meet this prong would be, say, the Knox County Community Center didn't own the property, they rented the property and they only leased maybe, say, a section of the building over there, but it was actually owned by Sherry Darling, a private individual. We don't have that situation here. In our case, as I submitted to you in your packet, you can clearly see, well, I'm sure everybody knows that Knox County Community Center actually owns the property over there. In addition to, it's operated on a not-for-profit basis, and I would direct you to the packet that I submitted, where there is a letter from the Internal Revenue Service. This shows that we have our 501c3 status.